Hello everybody, this is Animal Wisdom Stories video, and today we have another video with Sandra Mendelson. Hello Sandra.
Hello Miriam. How are you today?
I'm very well. So Sandra is an animal communicator and a channel of animal consciousness and a writer. Sandra, you've written the book We Walk Beside You, Animal Messages for an Awakened World. And from that book, we're actually hearing some messages today, right? Are they all from the book? They're all?
Most of them are from the book. Yes, today they are from the book. Sometimes they're from after the book.
Yeah. Right, because it keeps on, you keep on channeling, right? Mm-hmm. It was actually quite funny. We started talking about a week ago about doing a show on addiction to Doism. And because you experienced something, Sandra, and you said, this is something I want to talk about, and the animals want to support us in this and talk about it as well. And I had a sort of interesting experience this week because it was my birthday and I went to a spa. I went to one of those floating spas, not one of these little tanks, but it was a big pool, just floating in the warm salt water. And I thought, oh my God, I have 365 days until I turn 50, right? So this was my kind of, I'm in this meditation and I'm thinking, okay, 365 days. I want to record every day what made me happy, because I want to find out what makes me happy. I want to sort of grow through making myself happy, because I had this feeling in this pool. I wanted to let go of all these, I had a tension in my shoulder. I wanted to let go of that. And it kind of fit with this letting go the old and cherishing something new, and sort of going, okay, what can I put in that I like and that serves me and that supports me? So addiction to doism is actually something I think we all kind of do it. We all, sometimes more and sometimes less, go into this trying to be active all the time, whether it's only mentally or physically, or just busy, or thinking about stuff all the time. And a lot of time, I think it's fear. Fear of just being. Fear of just being yourself. So therefore, I think it's great to have this little video and sort of hear what the animals want us to know about this. So, but you came up with a subject. So tell me a little bit about how that came up for you.
Well, apparently, this is a very, very widespread addiction, maybe the most common addiction in human society. So the animals brought this up while I was channeling the book many times, many different species, didn't matter where. And so, the first thing we think about is, what are the consequences of do, I'm not enough, I can be better, accomplish this, to the point where it's completely automatic thinking on our part. We wake up in do, even if we meditate, go, okay, time to do. You were right. I think a lot of it has to do with fear. So what are some of the consequences are, is, obviously we know about stress and its impact on our bodies. We never, body, mind, spirit, never has a chance to regenerate, constantly going.
Right.
We separate ourselves from nature and from the animals. That, that connection is our birthright. But when we're here and we're going, we miss that. We go against the flow of life, and that's something the animals also show us that's so prevalent in human society, where there is a flow and there is a bigger picture that the animals go with, and we miss out on that. We miss signs and symbols from spirit that are in front of us all the time. As the animals say, when you're in strive mode, you can't receive. You also can't see, things, whether it's something on a license plate, you're missing out on that. What goes hand in hand with that is we can't discover our own sixth sensory gifts, knowing what's going to happen, the power of our intuition, closing our eyes and seeing colors and pictures, hearing voices, or not negative, but tapping into that web of life. And then perhaps most important of all, and the reason you and I talked about part 2 that we'll do of this conversation, is that we cut ourselves off from joy.
Right.
So, and that in and of itself, while especially for those of us who are striving to be kinder, peaceful, grow, what we tend to forget is that when we are in a state of joy, we're kind of handling all of that growth at the same time, because our vibration is high. We're in the moment. We're allowing things in. We're noticing more, by being in joy. So that'll be the next time we convene.
And you know what? Today, actually, I knew that before, but we are actually in Mercury retrograde. And I listened to one of those videos on it, what it means for you and how to deal with it. And it was one of those things, just click on it, and all of a sudden I had this sort of aha moment, because Mercury retrograde is actually for you to sort of slow down, reevaluate, and sort of when we're going through life, and Mercury is I think the fastest planet, or a very fast planet. So if you look at this and our life, it's like go, 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 go. And then Mercury stops. And we go like, okay, what are we going to do now? It's for us to kind of slow down and to look back and go like, okay, what have I missed by running? Let's just walk and let's just, breathe. And I thought it was so nice, to have the subject in the sort of, connection to the planetary system. Perfect. Or
absolutely. What else they say about Mercury retrograde is that, yes, go within, revise, analyze, rethink, don't push forward. And They say it's also a good time to stall. So it gives you and I've been doing that, because I could see that a lot of stuff, of course, is getting messed up with communication. So it is a good time to follow up on that stuff. But again, slow it down. You may come up with a better answer approach by the time Mercury goes direct around March 28th. So, these messages from the animals are really in sync with that. So should I share some of them?
Yeah.
Very first animal that came through on this probably won't surprise anybody. It's a bear. And as we know, bears hibernate. They just let it all go and see on the other side of it. So what the bear said was, I can speak to you of solitude and the important role it plays in the healing and regeneration of body and soul. Animals innately know to stop, walk slowly, and contemplate. We do it all the time. Just watch us. Why don't you humans get with the program? Yes, you are guilty of doism. Your cells cannot regenerate if your switch is always on. And he came back like a week later. You absolutely must take the time to reflect. I wasn't getting the message, apparently. You continue to plan and get swept up in new people and ideas. Big mistake. Turn off your phone for an entire day.
Right.
And then he just wrapped it up by saying, why do so many humans find silence so terrifying? It is where your answers lie, where peace and safety dwell. It is where you are not judged. So why judge yourself when you are in silence? Like, oh, I'm not getting my meditation right. You can stop performing like a circus toy. You can find your own heartbeat and cherish it. Solitude is your savior. You humans, you never know how to rest and you wonder why you burn out. When I say rest, I mean it. You will never move forward this way. So it's counterproductive to never back it off. And even and know okay, the laundry will be there, the cleaning will be there, the obsession.
Do you know what? And sometimes I think that we need to look at resting in a different way, because I think resting can have a very negative kind of connotation to it. When you're lying in bed and it's like 2:00 in the afternoon or 3:00 in the afternoon, and you just feel like, lounging. But it's very hard to kind of go against these stereotypes of, you're being lazy, you don't want to progress, you don't want to go anywhere. And what I could feel before my birthday, that I needed a massage because I had the tension here, and I was just feeling like I needed to sort of regenerate. And for me, going into this pool, going into a spa and lying in warm salt water was kind of more acceptable than lying on the couch. In the end, it might
have... You were still doing something. You went out to do something. You went to a spa. I know. It don't show yourself on that, because, the net result is you still were getting out of your hamster wheel mind, right, and your to-do list. So, it doesn't really matter how you get there, but you're right. I mean, the only time you stay in bed is if you're sick, right? These things, right, that are just, right, ingrained into our consciousness way before birth. It's, human way of doing. I mean, if you think about it, back when we didn't have any luxuries at all, way before this lifetime, farmers worked from sun up to the time they closed their eyes because they didn't have an option. So we have to kind of learn some new behaviors along with industrialization, and also to walk away from the other things, like the obsessive managing of our email and things like that. So yeah, that's very interesting. And
also maybe find ways to do the relaxing without our mind starting, oh, you're being lazy. Maybe finding different ways, and going to a spa could be one of those, or going for a walk. We got a dog, which is like somewhere in the behind me playing. So by that, I'm going into nature. I'm going outside 3 times a day with the dog, walking, being in nature. And it's like it's this, not the direct approach in a way, because I could have I could have done that myself. I could have gone out, going for walks every day, 3 times a week, 3 times a day, but I didn't do that. So we decided to get the dog, not only to go out for walks, but it's kind of, it works together,
It's funny you mention that, because a while back I wrote an article, walking your dog as a spiritual practice.
Right.
And to be in nature while walking the dog does mean a couple of things. The phone stays home, or you keep it in the bag for emergencies only. Like, right, I got to pick up dog poop at night and I can't see, so I use it, right, for a flashlight. It means being fully present, no earphones. It means seeing through your dog's eyes. And that way you're actually sharing reality with your dog, and you're connecting with nature. So you got to,
right,
jiggle around the formula. If you have a dog like mine that will run you anywhere, you may need a separate time just to sit like a rock. I know I do, because I'm focused on him, and it is a break, but it's also not the same for me as sitting and just feeling Mama Earth and, right, closing my eyes. So again, we all have to find ways that work for us. And I think you're right. It's easier if we don't try to do it sitting in the house. It's easier if we get out.
Doing something.
Okay, doing something. I mean, that's kind of like saying, well, every act of kindness benefits too. Like, okay, fine. But, it may also have some nice benefits for somebody else. Okay, going along with this is what a giraffe told me. When this came in, I was wiped out. This was a few years ago. Even to the point where I go, did I make this up? I wrote it, didn't put it in the book for a while. And then I went back and read it like 2 months later and go, you didn't say that. So giraffe came through with ebbs and flows. This is something humans do not understand. They expect themselves to be the same every day, like machines with circuits and dials and a fail-safe, industrially made warranty engine that comes with a warranty. The human body is a machine, but it's an energetic one. And it's subject to energetic forces of so many changing variables around it. Planetary movement, weather patterns, your body's own biorhythms, the prevailing mood affected by local and world events, and disseminated by the news. To say nothing of the occurrences in your own life with family and personal stressors like sleep or any kind of health stuff. Allow for the energy ebbs as they always prepare you for when it's time to flow with fresh eyes and perspective. There are perhaps even more lessons in the ebb times. At these moments, sit down, reflect, and stop fighting. Give in to the needs of the body and its healing patterns. So it will help us if we understand, and it's hard. I mean, it takes a lot of practice to change your thinking, that all of this backing off and letting go is exactly what we need to keep moving forward. And for me, it comes back to, I'm just going to say it, but self-love, it's sort of accepting who you are. And I was thinking about that recently. I've been feeling a little bit tired, and I just kind of didn't know whether it was something that had changed, whether it was my diet or, anything, looking for an answer basically. And then I was like looking back through my life, and I've always needed to kind of sleep. So I'm not somebody that can sort of function on 5 hours of sleep. I can't either.
I can't. I need to have a solid 8 hours and maybe a little nap now and then. So
but you heal when you're in your sleep, and you travel supposedly,
right.
Back into your soul. So yeah, that's hugely important for brain function, and everyone's different. I know people that are great on 5.5, 6 hours.
Right.
I'm not me. I'm like you. I'm an 8-hour girl. So.
And I think it's sort of, I'm accepting that more and more, that I might need more hours of sleep than somebody else, and that is okay being like that. It's okay not to be one of those 5 hours sleep and I can just, run. And it's sort of, I don't know, maybe it's the planetary constellation this year about, I feel like a lot in my life is about kind of letting go old stuff and re-evaluating what's important. And this sort of, I feel like I don't need to hold on to the idea that I need to function in a certain way, because my body is the way it is. It's served me quite well, for all these years. And for that, I can love my body. Because, why trying to make my body do something that is not good for us, for me,
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not even at that level of awareness yet. You realize that they're just on autopilot. And they're going and going and going until something breaks.
I know.
Obviously, we don't want that to happen for anyone, to have to learn such a hard way. But yeah, you're spot on. It is about self-love, and that's something that all humans are learning who are alive right now, because that's
and kind of dealing with it in a way, and sort of finding different ways to incorporate that, and seeing that, and awakening to maybe the fact that sometimes we're not looking after ourselves because we're expecting and we're kind of wanting us to perform in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. So, or we're people pleasing, or thinking that there's a certain level of expectation, and right. If you don't even mention it, you're projecting onto the other person that it's not going to be good enough if I pause, if I do it the second day. Everything is up for reevaluation right now, as as we humans are evolving. And that's another reason, if you are following any energetic stuff, why I think a lot more of us are needing a lot more sleep, because we are trying to raise our frequency while in a body which is dense. So, I mean, that's another conversation, but
yeah,
anyway, so
good reminder, very good reminder, just to
be compassionate with yourself.
Yeah.
And full of it. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, oh my God, I'm tired, I must be sick. There's also that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest going there so fast, put it that way. So then there are two very, very different species that came through with sort of similar messages. And it has a lot to do with switching us from this make it happen to allow it to unfold, because there's a bigger picture. So first, a pelican who has a pretty broad perspective on stuff came through and said, humans don't understand the meaning of purpose, that there is a purpose to life, and that all its elements fit together. Humankind runs through life with lasso ropes, trying to control it like a wild horse. This is the opposite approach of what life demands. Allowing things to unfold does not mean being lazy or taking no action. It means setting an intention and then watching for signs and signals as to where to step next. Humans think they determine the course, but they don't. Just like an explorer may set a course, but trade winds and nature step in and they are carried in an unexpected direction. Sounds like a long time ago, but I went with it. All of nature understands this. Only humans refuse to respect the bigger picture and the forces at play. So again, it's not just our life. There's a lot more going on. And a really wise horse named Hugo said something that's related. He said, most of the time animals don't get to call their own shots and are subject to the will of humans. So our lives are a crash course in acceptance and adaptability. Humans, on the other hand, have gotten so used to operating from their own desires, will, and hard work that they often find themselves going against the flow of life and never see the bigger picture. And then they wonder, why are things so hard? Like they're swimming against the current, without a paddle. Why doesn't this ever happen for me? It is better to look for synchronicities when the universe is extending an invitation to you to take this path. And again, turning things over does not mean being lazy or weak or directionless. It means realizing that you're part of something bigger, and there is a point to all of this. Staying aware of signs, including seemingly crazy intuitive urges to go call or visit someone or study something. These are all parts of the patchwork quilt that you call your life purpose. So, you have to hold on, he said, during the hazy and the not knowing why parts. That is where trust comes in. Trust in God or the universe or nature or anything you believe in that is bigger than you and unknowable. So, bigger perspective from the animals while we're busy, and we're, making ourselves crazy. We are missing the broader perspective of why things happen, and we're actually pushing opportunities away from us.
What sort of came to my mind now when you were sharing this, every time basically when I look back, in my life, it's like every time one door closed and I was really upset about a certain door closing, something else happened instead. This saying of, another door opens. And when you look back, if you need like kind of reassurance that this actually happens, it kind of happens every time. When you look back and you didn't get a certain job, and then you didn't get it because there was something else in the pipeline, there was something else coming. And I don't think I've had any situations where that didn't happen. So even though sometimes you can't see the bigger picture, it's kind of important that you stay with that trust that the bigger picture and the universe is there for you and not against you. That's beautifully put. It is, because now that you mention it, when I think of things that fell apart miserably, and it was excruciating at the time,
I was being pushed out of a certain industry because I was supposed to do a different kind of work that I had no inkling of. I didn't know I could do it, but something was shoving me along. Wish I had the perspective at the time, but better late than never. Yeah, and if we're so busy doing, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss it at every turn. Got to go do another project. Got to work harder. Got to do this proposal. Got to go look for 56 jobs. Got to. When you're missing something that's trying to knock you on the head, it'll fly right by. So you're right. You're really right. And, I think just to wrap this whole thing up of where it's going, we hinted at it at the beginning. Okay, so we can get quiet. We can listen to the energy, ebbs and flows of our bodies. We can get out into nature. And this is actually one more that do we have enough time? Okay, so squirrels in a nature sanctuary were very vocal about this. And I'm going to read it verbatim because it made me laugh. He's like, why don't more of you come out here? It's getting ridiculous. We are doing everything we can to get through to all of you, short of landing with a splat on your windshield. And that probably wouldn't work either. Come reclaim your rightful connection to everything around you and all of us. You all need nature therapy, but you must adjust your heads first or it won't work. Even those of you who walk through natural areas do so with your heads separate and in a fog. You must begin with the understanding that you are part of all of this. Fake it if you have to, until you start experiencing it. Keep repeating, we are all one. I am part of all. Believe that you can hear us or feel us, and you will start to sense, know, see what is going on. You must reclaim your intuition. So many of us are longing to get closer to you, but you must begin by committing to silence and stillness and patience. If more of you spent time with us, you would feel the importance of protecting the magic we call Mother Earth. Come back to us. You have gone astray. Stop all this running ever faster and faster. Most of you are so wound up that it's your basic state of being. You have no idea what calmness and clarity feel like anymore. Being numb is all you know to turn off the frenzy. So, it's a big one from a very small creature.
I know. So, basically, what can we do? What can we do to kind of stop doing the doism? What's the opposite? And how can we incorporate that into our normal life?
Exactly. Well, we got a couple of these where, okay, so go out in nature, go sit down somewhere and just say, I'm taking a breather for now. Obviously, if your body is telling you, I just can't, you listen to that. Allowing things to unfold, again, means time, as the bear said as well, in solitude, so that you can start paying attention. Here's a perfect example. Somebody called me and invited me to do something that I have never done before. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that for people that are interested in this, how wonderful to take all this stuff from the horses and share this with horse parents, if you will, who really want to know the inside perspective of how to get closer to them, of what they're doing when you think they're just standing in their stall doing nothing, about how they work with energy, about how they leave their body, like all this other stuff, to really understand this incredible being. Anyway, the point is, if I were going, stressing, doing, I don't think that opportunity would ever have arisen. You know what I mean? I'm allowing for breaks. And I think that what you were talking about, that we can really launch into next time in detail, is that joy element. Because in all this stuff we're attempting as human beings, the animals have told me the missing piece is joy. So the hippo came through as, the voice of joy and have a blast from day one, and he cracked me up. So he said, you have to plan your time better.
Okay.
time in stillness, time in work and to-dos, and time in play. You humans are so lopsided in how you portion off your time and energy. Go out and play, for goodness sake. Dance and sing and eat and flirt and hug and kiss and do those human things, because like it or not, human is what you are, and there is some good that goes with that. Fun doesn't slow down your growth. It speeds it up. Stop listening to the shoulds and oughtas, especially the ones in your own head. You're not carrying the world on your shoulders, so stop acting that way. You don't need to be a monk, and you'll never be a saint. So cut it out with the martyr stuff. So I think it would be so much fun next time to bring in other animal perspectives on what joy is, and really get us all thinking, because we may not know off the top of our heads.
No.
25, 30 things that bring us joy. Sad but true.
Can you say 5? Do you know 5 things that bring you joy?
Yes. Can you? I'm like, well, yes, I can. You go.
My dog.
Thank you.
My horse. This is like kind of, it's a little bit, I'm going through all my animals.
Sure.
Writing brings me joy. Connecting. Could be connecting with people, animals, nature, being in nature, eating nice food, freshly prepared with a lot of love. And so that I really love that. Resting. I had a nap yesterday. I'm doing this 365 days. Let's see how many times I can do this, but I want to record what brought me joy that particular day, because sometimes I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what brings me joy. And sometimes I'm overwhelmed by this like choice of things I could do. And, I could go to a yoga studio and take a yoga class, or I could go to a new restaurant. I could, and actually for me to decide what I really like is sometimes difficult. And also the balance of, going out, staying in, being, so, so therefore I want to record. It's like a kind of a joy diary, I think.
I think that's fantastic.
Then see
it's a fantastic idea. You're right.
What are your 5 things?
By the way, the reason this can be so difficult is because we're trying to transfer from human doing to human being. Getting out of that addiction means, okay, wait, I told you my favorite one. Well, when my dad passed away, my mom, who has never had an anxiety attack, went to the supermarket and had a massive anxiety attack, because for the first time in 56 years, she actually had to think about what she wanted to eat, and she had no idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're doing. So I guess the first 5, obviously my dog, Mr. T, feeding the animals at back of my house makes me crazy happy. I love it so much. Obviously communicating with animals and channeling and sharing that with other people gives me a lot of joy. Again, you were talking about balance, being alone, being with the animals, being with people. When too much extremity happened, about too much alone time for me, I started to feel sad. And then being around other people, you see yourself differently and more of who you are when you're in a group versus when you're alone versus when you're with one person. So I realize I love when there's something I've learned or something shareable. Being on the planet for 58 years, something good had to come of that. So that also brings me terrific joy. And I haven't done much of it, but I'm planning it now. Going to other cultures, especially ones where there is so much more sense of community. My girlfriend got back from 3 weeks in Senegal, And there is still such a light in her. When she talks about how people chip in and, you know, it's just automatic. And you're like, yeah, we're supposed to be hardwired to connect with each other. And in this society here in the US, for sure, we lock ourselves. The animals talk about it a lot. Ducks and the ducks do a lot. We lock ourselves away behind gates and doors. And my favorite line that I heard from them was, togetherness gives us basically a break from our imperfections. It was said more beautifully than that. You know, that when you're with other people, you're not in your head and you're not worried about what's not right. You're just there in the moment. So that, I think, can bring a lot of joy as well. But boy, I like that 365 days of joy. Girl, that's, yeah.
Well, you can join me.
Okay. I'm in. I got to get a notebook for this one, because I think that's, I mean, a huge, you know, to get past the first, you know, 20 or whatever and really dig into those tiny little moments that bring you joy. You realize there's a lot of them.
But, you know, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And the joy seeking doesn't have to be perfect. And it can be as short as, you know, it could be just 3 words or 1 word, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to go with the flow and see what happens and see what comes up. Because I want to remember, it's like, you know, you can't take anything with you. You can't take any material possessions. I want to collect, and I saw this on Facebook, you know, one time, and it said, don't collect things, collect moments. And I want to collect moments, and I need to kind of really, you know, be mindful about these little moments, because sometimes it's just this tiny little, ooh, that made me happy, and then it's like gone. And if you don't record that, it's sort of, it's kind of lost in a way, you know. And so yeah, let's see what comes up, you know. If maybe I'll find out I'm you know, something gives me joy that I'd never thought about. So
it's good. You're right. It does require a little digging, you know. It's like you are a house and there's rooms in there you haven't even opened the doors to yet, which is fun. So yeah, I think that's a great exercise.
And so what I'm looking for, we're doing the addiction to doism number 2. That sounds weird, but you know,
Part 2. Part 2. Okay.
And in our, you know, part 2, that sounds better. We're going to look at what it means to be joyful and how to find joy, I guess. And so I have to, you know, my phone is ringing, but anyway, so this is bringing me joy. It's actually
so good.
It's my husband probably piping in, going like, okay, you haven't mentioned me. That
right, I was going to say he wasn't in the first 5, but we won't tell him that. You can go revise that list if you need to.
Well, I just felt like it's too, you know, I didn't want to be cliched. So
joy is never cliched.
No, I know.
I mean, for me, dancing anywhere I can possibly do it. So is that cliched? No more so than your husband, because I would hope he brings you some joy. So many people. That's wonderful. That's great.
But for me, it kind of falls under the connection with other people. And but yeah, I
got a clue for you. If you're hitting 365, you don't want anything to fall under. Everything has to be in its own category, because you're going to need 365 moments. Right? So
how many categories is that going to be? We don't know yet.
No, we don't do the human thing. You're gonna let it flow. You're going to have, it could be a big moment. It could be a little moment. It could be anything, as long as it results in the experience of joy within you. We humans, we classify and define everything. We're just going to blow that up, you know. It could be a split second.
Right. So, but anyway, so next time we'll be talking more about what the animals would like to share about finding joy, experiencing joy. What else? I mean, what else?
Well, I'm not going to give it all. Yeah. Yes, we've got the animal kingdom to give us some really good perspectives on joy and fun. Yeah. Stay tuned.
That sounds wonderful. So anyway, thank you so much, Sandra. It was lovely. I love talking to you again. And I'm so looking forward to the next one. And we will be putting up notices when it's coming up. And yeah, so until then, stay tuned and have a lovely week, Sandra.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye.